if there's a candidate for worst person, in my view, at least in terms of my substantive disagreements, I'm sure he's like a nice guy, is Gary Gensler. Okay, so Gary Gensler is sort of the complete opposite of my view. And there are two problems that I have with Gary. One of which is that I think he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the United States of America. But in some ways, the more fundamental issue, or at least the most relevant issue for this particular conference is the approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the question the SEC seems to ask in regulating crypto is this a token with utility? And if it's a token with utility, then they seem to want to ban it. And if it's a token without utility, they don't seem to care. I almost think we should be the opposite here, right? I worry about financialization. I worry about, frankly, whether a lot of the crypto stuff is fundamentally fake. But if a token actually has utility, that's the sort of thing that, by all means, regulate it. By all means, be careful about, how consumers interact with it. But you don't want to just get rid of this stuff. And here's where I really, really worry about this is a lot of the newest challengers to social media, the social media incumbents of 2024 are going to require some blockchain technology to make their business work. Maybe they'll require a token that supports verification. There are all of these ways in which the companies, when I talk to sort of friends who are still in the VC industry, the companies that are most exciting to them, they're doing actual things in communications in the 21st century, in 2024, I should say, those companies very often rely on high utility tokens to do things like verification. Well, if we're not making it possible to do verification, then we're going to make it really hard to challenge the existing incumbents in the space.
Look at this. This is from yesterday, actually. Donald Trump's vice president, J.D. Vance, previously disclosed Bitcoin holdings up to $250,000. So he has over $250,000 worth of Bitcoin. He is now the vice president nominee or candidate if Trump wins. We've seen Bitcoin doing pretty well. Bitcoin started to pop again. I don't know if this news has anything to do with it or not. I think that we were probably getting out of, the sideways and lower movements of Bitcoin anyway. At some point, it was going to start moving up. But I know one thing for certain, this didn't hurt. The day that Donald Trump was almost assassinated, over 1,000 meme coins, I'll do a video on this later, over 1,000 meme coins were minted on Solana, in regards to the attempted assassination. So, him, taking a bullet and shaking it off, you gotta respect that regardless. What side of the aisle you vote on, don't even matter. You got to respect somebody who, after almost getting assassinated, would get up, pump his fist, and still have the balls to continue what his mission is. And I do respect this move right here. This is a good move. I mean, just think of it like this. We shouldn't even have to ask if, a Donald Trump presidency would probably be good for Bitcoin. I mean, his vice president owns Bitcoin. Donald Trump has pivoted from his negative position of Bitcoin to a more positive one. I would say it's more, even if it's not a positive position that Donald Trump has towards Bitcoin, it is more of a, hey, we need to be in front of this thing. We need to be ahead of the curve. We need to find ways to integrate it to where it's mutually beneficial for consumers, retail investors, and the traditional financial system and the nation, at large. So, if you have someone that's a vice president that owns Bitcoin, you would think that the kind of moves that he's going to make or suggest or want to be involved in are going to be the type of moves that would help innovate, blockchain technology, that would help integrate Bitcoin, other digital assets, because of course he has a personal vested interest in it and he sees the bigger picture. So look at that right there. It's going up. So, in the past I said that I thought Bitcoin would conservatively get to about 150,000 this bull cycle. And of course, according to the past metrics, history after the halving, typically it goes from about 8x, right? Last time we seen an 8x from the halving price to the all-time high. Before that, we seen a 20x. Before that, we seen, I think, 100x. But you have to understand that, of course, the market cap was lower, but we also had less demand. Now we have actually more demand. So what kind of numbers? A lot of people are saying $400,000 Bitcoin would be the max, for this cycle. And I kind of shied away from that because I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to have too high of expectations. But moves like this, I think, could support the idea of a $400,000 Bitcoin. Like I said, that's nothing I'm expecting. That's nothing that, I'm absolute on. Conservatively, I'll still say 150 is good. 150 would be not even a triple up from where it was at the halving. Keep in mind that we still have the same amount of demand or more demand with only half of the supply being minted. So that means off top, we're going to probably be looking at 120,000. I'll sprinkle an extra 30,000 just on GP, and I think that's not going to even be I don't even think that would be an issue. We still have about a year and 3 months, because remember, the halving was just in April. So we still have to about October 2025, where historically we're going to see probably the peak of this particular cycle. So this is, it's looking pretty good for, let's see some other. It's looking pretty good for Bitcoin right now, man. It's getting so close to hitting the milestone 100,000, showing remarkable growth for greater success, even without being in a full-fledged bull run. Make sure to follow Buzzy Boy. Eventually, okay, now they're kind of shilling some other coins, but like this is the energy. And anyway, so I didn't want to hold you too long, man. I just wanted to kind of show you like what's going on over here in these crypto streets. We do have a vice president that, could possibly be taking office next year, who is a holder of Bitcoin. It looks like, the movement is shifting. The sentiment is shifting. I've told you this years ago, that there was a civil war in regards to Bitcoin going on within our government, meaning that some of them, they're kind of afraid that Bitcoin could usurp the US dollar as a medium of exchange. Some people understand blockchain, and they understand how we need to integrate blockchain. And of course, that's going to come with Bitcoin being more relevant. And we've seen like a happy medium. That's what these ETFs are. ETFs are ways to introduce exposure to Bitcoin to help the traditional financial market. But, ETFs don't threaten, be in competition with the US dollar for the medium of exchange, because, you can't do, ETFs aren't currency. You can't do transactions. You can't buy, sell with ETFs. So this is where we're going, y'all.